Hello, Money Multipliers. Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kessler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? So, y'all, registration is live for the 3-day live mastermind coming up in October, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to be hooting and hollering about it until that day arrives. So I hope to see you down there. Very limited seating. You can go and get your tickets on themoneymultiplier.com/mastermind 2024. I'll also put the link down below in the description, but come out and come hang out with us for a little bit. We're just going to go 3 days deep into everything about implementing our policies, expanding the banking system, utilizing it for estate planning, tax savings, investments that we're purchasing using the policies, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm excited. Hope to see everybody there. But in today's episode, I'm very, very excited because I have one of my close colleagues, and even I view him as my mentor as well, Mr. Jayson Lowe on the line. So how are you doing, J Lowe?
I'm doing outstanding. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you.
Good. And you seem like you're in your office right now. So are you at home in Canada?
Yes, yeah, I'm at my home office here in Canada and really enjoying it. Today's been a really great sort of back-to-back content day we typically do on Fridays. And so it's always a lot of fun. I get to connect with people like you and talk about this incredible concept in my journey and how blessed I was, to have spent so much time with the developer, the pioneer of the concept, the late R. Nelson Nash. And so I'm here to add value to your listeners and looking forward to a great conversation.
Good. I'm excited. And actually, so Jayson, you really opened my eyes not too long ago. I would say probably a year or so ago, just in my own business development of about, you turned me on to this book, and I even see it in your background there. Who, Not How
Yep.
completely changed my perspective within how I run my business, my mindset shift, and different things too. And I know there's also even other books and resources like I know strategic coaching, Dan Sullivan, you're very
Yep.
engaged with that. There's other books out there like The Gap in the Game, 10X is easier than 2X, and different things like that. I guess my first question I want to ask you is that, because when you get into business, most of the time we kind of have this competitive mindset. I just
Right.
even think back to like the chiropractic days. Hey, don't go to that chiropractor down the street. Come to me. Come to me. I'm the chiropractor that you should be coming to, right? So how did you change that perspective of, that the collaboration mindset versus the competitive mindset? What shifted it for you?
Wow, that began in October of 2018. And at that time, I had begun my journey coaching with Dan Sullivan directly. And one of the things that he shared in our very first session together, he said, Jayson, when you begin to think collaboratively versus competitively, collaboration opportunities will begin to appear everywhere. And he went on to coach around competition. Focusing on competition puts you in a state of envy, not in a state of delivering what the clients you have and the clients you want to have truly value. And so when you end up connecting with somebody who is doing something really great in your space and a collaboration opportunity presents itself, you're both getting in the same corner to be a hero to the same client. And you don't have to own the ocean to sail on it. There's so much opportunity that working together to do things faster, better, cheaper, to be more innovative, it just creates a situation where everybody wins, literally everybody wins, versus we all encounter that in our space. There is competition out there, and hey, by all means, go out, compete, and good luck to you, and hope you get there. But collaborators always win, and you're delivering far more value to the very same client. And when that domino tipped over for me in my own mindset, because I'm one of the most competitive human beings on the planet,
Yeah.
and being in this industry, I worked at and became the top overall advisor in Canada 9 consecutive years in a row, top of the table with MDRT. I wanted to be number one. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. And Dan Sullivan really helped me to rethink my thinking to say, what advantage would it represent if you collaborated and you could really grow the business 10x, because it's going to be way easier than 2x.
Mhm.
And I owe that credit to Dan Sullivan. He was the who that made me think about collaboration over competition. And the results, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, our business has been doubling every single year. And we're blessed beyond the definition of good fortune to be collaborating with so many great people. And we will always do that.
Absolutely. And some of my listeners may know you, because especially a lot of our Canadian folks who will come to us, right?
Yeah.
I will send them up to you, Ascendant Financial in Canada, and then vice versa too. If you got any Americans who reach out to you, we help serve them down here. And a
Yeah.
question I sometimes get is, well, what's the difference between Canada implementing infinite banking versus the States? And really, it's the same exact thing. It's just, hey, different territories, different insurance companies, but the process is always the same. So
That's
that's the
right.
purpose of where you are my who in Canada. But even today, like I was just driving back home from my parents' place, I was packing up because actually tomorrow I'm going to be going over to Orlando. I'm going to be speaking at a real estate event. And so we have a booth we got to set up. So I had to go and collect all the booth materials. But I was even driving back home and I was thinking about it because I was talking with another gentleman just this week. Actually, you know him, and he was just mentioning how he has somebody who he delegates all of his emails to, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I could just delegate my emails and find a who just to go through, answer emails that another person, not just me, has to reply to, that could take a huge time freedom off of my day-to-day schedule. And then it kind of got me thinking, because just even like our employees within the office here, what we actually have them do is complete a personality quiz, because
Mhm.
what I want them to do is I want to put them in those roles that they're going to thrive in. That's their superpower in, and that they're not going to be miserable because that's their personality trait. They love doing that kind of work. And so I guess my what I was thinking of and what I wanted to ask you is that do you have like a protocol of what you do to find those who's, or do you just have somebody at the top of your mind that you think about when you're like, hey, I got this problem, or I got a new idea that I want to implement? Do you already have those people in mind, or how are you going out there and outsourcing those different who's?
I really do my best to tap into my network, and I just express very clearly the problem that I'm trying to solve. And I get inundated with potential who's. And for me, it's when selecting the right who to help me get the how done. I'm looking at things that most people would look at in terms of track record of that who and their capability and whether or not they're operating in their unique ability. And then from a team member standpoint, when we consider onboarding a new team member, we're running them through a Colby index because we want to understand how they show up in the world. So not about strengths or weaknesses, but how do they show up in their unique ability where it feels natural to them. It brings them the most energy and the most fulfillment. And then we have done our very best and will always continue to weave strategic coach into our company, the tools, the resources, the framework. And it has completely transformed our businesses, plural. We have several companies in our family group of businesses, and strategic coaches woven into all those companies. But to become a really good who finder, you need a strong network, and you've got to continually nurture that network so that when you have a problem, you can reach out to your network and say, I'm looking for the right who to help me get this how done. Who can you recommend? And the recommendations will come flooding in.
That's good. Okay, no, that's a good tidbit. Also, share with us a little bit. So I know you very deeply within the you owning your own agency in Canada, helping folks implement the infinite banking concept. I do believe that you are doing some Amazon like drop shipments. Is that what you're up to as well?
No. So on the Amazon platform, so we sell general merchandise on Amazon's FBA and FBM platform. So we are a wholesaler and we purchase goods from a variety of different, brands, and then we ship those goods to Amazon fulfillment centers, and then Amazon fulfills the orders by bringing buyers to their platform. And that company, gosh, we got underway in July of 2019, and there were two entrepreneurs that were running that business at the time. They were doing somewhere between 30 and 50,000 in gross revenue a month, but they weren't generating any positive net income. So the
Mhm.
business was cash flowing, but there was no positive net income. This year, the business we'll finish this year at 15 million, and our net income will land at about 5.7%, which is coincidentally right in line with Amazon's net income percentages of overall revenue. But margins are tight, so volume wins. And that was my intention in getting engaged in that business, as I saw the opportunity to really ramp up the volume, but to do it profitably. And that's where we are today. And all the credit to the Canada Prep and Ship team for the work that they do. But we have a whole private label suite of products under the Low Buys Shop Easy, Save Big brand. So I'm just putting a plug out there
Yeah.
for Low Buys. And that's our foray into going direct to the consumer, where the consumer is going to buy the product directly from our fulfillment. And
Okay.
that's a whole other enterprise that is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that good?
Yeah, no, and I love that because right, there's so many hours in a day, and that's why I just love the mindset of the who, not how. So you have that business, and then are you into real estate as well?
Oh yeah, we're in the real estate space. We're in the private lending space. We have a really good private lending business, as a matter of fact. We're also in a few other different businesses that were really born out of the necessity of solving problems in our existing companies through the leverage of technology and automation. And we're also releasing our lowdown coaching program that'll be released, I think, near the end of Q3 of this year. And so that's going to be an incredible platform to coach people, not only in our industry, but entrepreneurs in general who have a in-profit business, but they want to move that business from being startup to sustainable to durable to scalable, regardless of the stage that they're at. I've been through all four. And so that coaching platform is going to be amazing. And then the Ascendant Advantage sales and marketing automation platform. And we have so many great things going on, but it would be impossible
Yep.
without having the right team of who's that possess the unique capabilities to help me get the hows done.
Yes.
My job is to keep the vision at the forefront and to attract great people and to make sure that they're well resourced and supported to get the great work done. And that's what I love to do. That's what brings me energy, is bringing purpose to other people's capabilities.
Yeah. I even wrote this down. So one time when I was chatting with you, you mentioned, you said, I made myself the least important person in my business.
Better
And I
believe it.
and I think you'll appreciate this. I literally wrote this on a sticky note and I look at it every day. It says, the less I do, the more I make, the power of delegation.
Ah, I love that. Congratulations. Yeah, that's so true. Like I was just sharing with another entrepreneur earlier that so within our Ascendant, our life insurance agency up here in Canada, and how we're, growing, of course, together in the United States. And but in Canada, I was sharing with another entrepreneur that we have team members that are coming aboard that I've never met.
Mhm.
I trust my team implicitly to put the right who's with the right capabilities in place so they can get the house done. And we've instilled a very, very razor sharp degree of accountability in the business. There's nowhere to hide from accountability, which elevates the performance of everyone on the team. And there's a whole framework, to doing that. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you're the entrepreneur and 5 years from now, you're still uh, neck deep in the business, then you're really robbing all the people around you of an opportunity to really grow in their own capability.
Mm.
And the truest measure of the strength of your team is to get away from the business and make sure they can't get a hold of you,
Yeah.
and watch how they grow and learn and take your business to a whole new level as a result. Or it really identifies some clear inefficiency, gaps in knowledge, gaps in execution, gaps in capability that you need to address so that you can make yourself the least important person in the business.
Yeah. Now, what about this? What about for people who just love that control? They're very big into the control in every single little nitty gritty detail of the business. Do you have advice for those people to just start giving up the control, start leaning on it? And I guess my
Yeah.
first thing I'm thinking of is really just making sure that you have those correct people and support system there to keep uplifting you and keep that vision and the business moving forward. But I guess what would you say? What's that advice to start giving up that control to give it to your other team members?
Simply put, people want to be coached. They don't want to be managed.
Mhm.
People who love control love to manage, in particular to micromanage. And people don't want that. They want to be coached. They don't want to be managed. And evidence begins to show up in your business where you have good people who don't stick around for very long, and people aren't leaving bad companies, they're leaving bad leaders. And so that would require some introspection to say, okay, what do I need to change in order to attract and keep great people? People want the opportunity to bring their very best capability. But if you're the roadblock, if you're getting in their way, they're going to check out. And what a shame that is, if you lose great people as a result of your desire to control. You would be amazed at how much progress you'll make in your business and in your own freedoms, your own personal freedoms of time, relationship, money, purpose. If you're bogged down controlling everything all day long, then you're also robbing yourself of creating more of those freedoms in your own life. And so get out of your own way, let your people perform and coach them. Don't manage them, coach them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't
No,
that good?
that's very good advice. Very good. Especially just me being a very young entrepreneur out here, being in the Gen Z generation,
Yeah.
figuring it all out, and so that's definitely I'm asking that more as like a selfish question just for myself because I'm hearing all of these great ideas and things that I could be focusing on and doing better at. But it is, you get in your own way, and it's just like, just step aside, let it all happen. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You know what my mother says? She's because she's a nuclear engineer by trade. So she used
Okay.
to work with the Navy. And she says, Hannah, we're not building nuclear bombs and nobody's going to die. So what's the worst thing that could ever happen? No one's going to die.
My late father, God rest his soul, he would often say that the only thing that's rocket science is rocket science.
Yeah.
And
So,
so, and you have to let people, you have to give people an opportunity to make mistakes and to encourage that that's not fatal inside of your business. It's encouraged, provided the only thing that isn't acceptable is not learning from them.
yeah.
But there's a reason why they put erasers on pencils.
Mhm.
People make mistakes. And so you've got to recognize that there's going to be a period of time where you're developing a system, you're developing a method of operating. People are wanting to learn that system and that method of operating. They're going to stub their toe, they're going to make mistakes, and then you step in and coach them through it, not manage them through it. And I cannot make sure enough that that distinction is crystal clear because I'll say it this way. I mean, if you think of leadership in comparison to managing, leaders are taking something from a current degree of productivity and raising its degree of productivity. Managers are taking an existing system, an existing process, and ensuring that those accountable to executing are doing it. Coaching is developing people by bringing purpose to their capabilities. And so you need to truly understand what their capabilities are so you can bring purpose to those capabilities. And that is a framework that when you embrace it and you implement it, your entire business changes and your freedoms grow.
Yeah.
Isn't
Now,
that good?
no, it's good. And actually, because it got me thinking, what did you do even prior to starting your insurance agency up in Canada? What were
I
you up
was
to?
I was a senior partner with Dell.
Okay.
So I was in a completely different industry. I got to lead people who loved to talk about technology, to tinker with technology, to engineer and innovate in technology. That was I was on an executive leadership mentoring path with Dell. I'm very grateful anybody out there who's still with Dell. I'm incredibly grateful for that time and experience there, and learned a lot. But being on that path, I thought, wow, this is my lot in life, and this is the direction that we're going to go. And my wife Rebecca and I ended up moving to Riverview, Florida, just south of Tampa, and I was on an international work assignment, and I thought, wow, this is going to be incredible. And then we got pregnant with our firstborn and moved back to Canada. And then I was invited to go to a conference in Las Vegas to learn all about what I would later learn to be the process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept. That was the domino that tipped over for me. And so, had we not gotten pregnant with our firstborn, you and I wouldn't be talking to each other right now. I would likely be on an international work assignment somewhere, still talking to people who love dealing with technology all day long. And so, isn't it amazing how what you're truly anointed to do presents itself in a way where, it's like a fork in the road? I could have chosen to not go to that event.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be talking to you today.
No, yeah,
So,
and total game changer.
oh
And
my God, changed my life completely.
yep. And you, because actually I know you came out to the mastermind in, I want to say it was 2020 out
Yep.
here in Daytona Beach, Florida, and you gave your really great presentation on just the family banking system and talking about y'all's family system and the unit of policies that y'all have. And hey kids, you can borrow from the family bank, but hey, FYI, if you don't pay it back on time, there may be no future opportunities for you to borrow from the family bank. We're going to uphold you to these standards and these guidelines. And so since then, now we're here in 2024. If it's okay, I can ask, how many policies do we have within the family banking system?
We have 77. Number 78 is in underwriting right now. Our premiums will be 1,050,000. If policy 78 gets approved, it'll be another 300,000 a year. And
Wow.
so we're capitalizing our system. We have 27 individual lives insured. And through the implementation of the process, we now have north of, I think most recently I just checked it, we're north of 84,000 a month flowing back to the family's money pool. So when you think about all of those things in your family, and to your listeners, your viewers, not just your immediate family, but your extended family, you have a lot of money flowing through the family's hands. And all that we're doing differently is that we have a lot of money flowing into the family's hands. There's a big difference. And for us, being that we're entering our 16th year in this journey, it didn't happen overnight. Like Nelson said, it will take the average person 20 years to gain complete control over the banking function as it relates to their needs. You and I meet with people every day who want to get it done by Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
And that all that if we were to entertain that, all that we're doing is setting someone up to fail. And so this has been a gradual and incremental journey for us, and we still have a long way to go. And I learn something new every single time that I revisit this concept with my family, with my teammates, with my clients, because I'm continually rethinking my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
And
that
that's
good?
and that's the goal actually on the airplane going over to Santa Barbara on Sunday. Because I was just thinking about this today. I need to go back and revisit the equipment financing example in Nelson's book. I'm going to
Mhm.
definitely dive in because it's been a little bit. I'm going to say about 24 months since I visited that. So I'm definitely going to get deep into it there. Now, let me tell you too, a conversation that has been coming up a lot this week has
Yep.
actually been from three individuals. And I do a lot of phone calls a day, and that's something I'm working on, the delegation of the phone calls. But so just three this week came up talking about Hannah, on page 48 of Nelson Nash's book, it talks about how income and premium should equal.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. How am I getting there to the income to the premium. I got these policies. This is what's going on. Here is the income that's coming into the family, but I also got my expenses. I got the personal expenses, the business expenses, and it's just not totally clicking right now. And actually, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where Nelson does say that, hey, average 20 years it takes for somebody to build up to be totally self-sufficient within their own banking system, privatized banking system. But for those people who are getting there to that next level, who have multiple policies, how do we really transition from that income to equal premium? Is it an ongoing, ever chasing goal? Just because as year by year goes on, our income keeps rising, the assets keep rising, that we're going to need to keep opening up more and more policies that, hey, we're just going to keep chasing it down the road? Or what would you say for those people who are really striving to hit that premium to income and they've been doing this for some time now?
Well, I would encourage them to really think about the utilization of the best tool to get the job done, which is, of course, their dividend paying whole life insurance policies. There's a minimum required premium, and then there's a, an optional amount that you can pay in. As you know, these are things that I'm sure your listeners are well aware of as well. But what Nelson, among many things, was trying to get across is that if you're in a position where you're not succumbing to Parkinson's law, meaning your expenses are not continually rising to find those ever increasing amounts of income as you get pay increases, unexpected windfalls, bonuses. If you haven't conquered Parkinson's law, then you won't be able to achieve a situation where premiums equal income. But when Nelson said premium, he didn't mean total premium. So your policies get to a point where the efficiency in the policy is pretty remarkable, where if you're just continuing with the minimum required premium in the policy, and then if you're still spending less than what you make and you're running as much capital through your system as possible and you're recapturing the interest, then that extra interest is not really interest. It's more premium.
Mhm.
So cumulative minimum required premium, and then the extra interest, which is not really interest, is going back into your system as paid up additions. But yet you're flowing all of your lifestyle, because that's what the infinite banking concept is. It's not a financial plan. So this isn't, hey, by year 14, my financial plan informs that I'm going to be in complete control of this function. This is a lifestyle. And the fact is, your lifestyle changes. But don't ever succumb to Parkinson's law, because if you do, then as you earn more money throughout the course of your lifetime, personally and inside your corporation, your expenses will rise to gobble up that extra money. You've got to resist that, and you need a place to store it. And the best place to store it is inside of your system. And anything above that minimum required premium in paid up additions is just more rocket fuel. That's the only thing that grows your system. So when Nelson said, look, your premium should equal your income, he didn't mean total premium. He's making sure that you understand how to properly utilize the tool. And I think for most people, again, we live in this instant gratification, everything. We want instant coffee. We want instant food. We want to order a package from Amazon and have it land on our rooftop from a drone 30 minutes from
Five
now.
minutes. Yeah.
Like, becoming your own banker has absolutely nothing to do with a race to completion. Like, I want to get this done as fast as possible. We're talking people back all the time, and they thank us for it, because it's like, wow, yeah, I can really appreciate how if I would have dove into the deep end of the pool right out of the gate, I may have set myself up for failure. Yes, your premiums and income can match. You just need to understand this is a likely 2 decades for you to get there.
Yeah. And it's a lifestyle process.
Totally.
And I think it even goes on to saying, like, you've heard the saying, hey, we need to enjoy the journey. Yes, we're working towards a goal, and we're going in this direction, but once you get to that point, you're not enjoying the process and the journey to get to that end game or end point. And so I
Yeah.
think really hit that on the head there.
Well, and this is where I think your revisiting the equipment financing example is going to be incredibly vital, because
Mhm.
Nelson is showing you what happens when the insurance company administers the policy all on their own, 4 years of premium, nothing else. pay for and don't pay anymore versus shopping at home for those things that you need financially. The financial energy, the money has to go somewhere. And so it's how you get that capital back into your system, which is key. And then he also showed you how he was taking money out of the policy. So
Yeah.
when your premiums equal income, if you have, by that point in your program, your cumulative program, where just the dividends each year alone far exceed the income that you need, can you top up a little more premium if you chose to balance it out that way?
Oh.
Yeah, you're in a position of total control. So if your premiums are 100,000, but your annual dividends are 198,000,
Yeah.
like now you're in a position of total and absolute control, and you can take 100% of your income and pay premium
Yeah.
and then use your system to take care of you.
Yeah.
That's Nelson's just trying to get across that your degree of flexibility and your degree of control, it only gets better as each day passes. And if
Mhm.
you can overcome Parkinson's law, and he would often say, show me someone who's paid premium for 7 years or longer, and I'll show you someone who's conquering Parkinson's law.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
I guarantee you, you're going to have an epiphany on the airplane ride down there,
No,
just based on what we talked about.
no, it is. It is. No, and I'm excited. It's been a great year, but definitely in that shift of, all right, make you don't need to be the most important person in your business. Take yourself out, have it accelerate without you. And actually, Jason, you were even the one who taught me what the word sabbatical was. Oh, I had to tap you on the shoulder. I said, Jason, what does that word even
What
mean? I've
does
never
that even
heard that
mean?
before. And I
Well,
think it's important.
yeah, it is. You've got to get away because, and again, credit to Dan Sullivan. I can't extend enough gratitude to him for helping me to rethink this part of my thinking. He said, Jason, I want you to go away to replace your batteries, not recharge them. So you've got to get away for a long enough period where you've actually truly replaced your batteries, and you come back with so many great ideas. Your team grows because your team goes through the sabbatical with you. And for everyone who's listening and viewing, I'm talking about taking several weeks consecutively away from your business and letting your team shine, giving them complete autonomy to solve problems, to grow the company, to work through opportunity, all of those things that when you come back, you'll be amazed at either A, what you discover in the way of gaps, or what is affirmed in the way of the true unique ability and capability of your team. And I'll never forget after my first sabbatical, when I came back, this was 6 weeks and 3 days that I took away. This was 3 years ago when I took my first sabbatical. And when I got back, Dan Sullivan was the very first person who asked me, how did it go? And I said, well, about 3 weeks in, I was starting to feel like I wasn't needed. My team changed all of my passwords for all my technology. I couldn't get access to email, any tools or anything. They changed the password to our home office. I couldn't even get in the building. So I started to feel like I wasn't needed. And he said, you know what? Let's work through that. So he said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to approach your teams and ask them 2 questions. Now that we've been through this sabbatical together, what would you like to see me spending my time doing going forward? And who would you like to see me spending my time with? And Dan said, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how closely your team's responses are with what you're already thinking. And I went through that exercise. He was spot on. And he said, Jason, your role is different now. Your role is not to be hands on, day to day, involved in every aspect of the business. Your role is to bring purpose to their capabilities.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was, oh, I was like, Dan, the impact of what you just said is incalculable. And
Yeah.
so that's what I've been spending all my time focused on, is bringing purpose to my team members' capabilities.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening to our businesses. They're
And
thriving
I bet you feel even more fulfilled too, just business side, personal side,
enormously.
and just everything in between.
Yeah. Isn't
Oh,
that good?
Yeah, I've learned a lot from you. I really do appreciate you, just your mindset, and I
Ah,
value you as a great human being. And you know, because you got a lot going on. You know, you have your family. What I really love about what y'all do is that, you know, every single Sunday you live right next door to it's your sister-in-law. Yeah,
that's
Jen's
right. Yeah.
sister-in-law. So y'all live right next door to each other, have those family dinners every Sunday night and different things. And just even too, just even in my own family unit, you know, every year we do our annual family banking meetings. Well, how did we come to that conclusion? Oh, well, J Lo does them, and it looks like it's going pretty good for him. We should probably be doing this for us. So
Oh, I'm humbled.
it's just a lot of stuff that has been really, really helpful and that I've learned from you. And
Well, thank you.
I do appreciate you. Now, I guess my last question is that so for my, you know, mothers and fathers who are listening, because I got a lot of y'all, children, right? So I know you have your kiddos.
Yeah.
Some of them, no, it's Jax, right? Or Jackson, but you call him Jax?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he 17 now? Or how?
He's 15.
15, okay,
Yeah.
okay, so not to the 18, mark yet. So, with the kiddos right now, because I don't know how it is in Canada, but down here in the States, you had to be 18 in order to own a policy. So, for the parents listening, how are you opening the dialogue of this concept to them at such an early age so that they grasp it? Yes, I understand we got our annual family banking meetings. We're talking about it. You're always bringing Nelson Nash around the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Um, but what are those first initial steps for somebody to open the doors and opening the eyes to their children on this concept? What are some of those first steps you would tell them?
Well, the first thing that we do is we take a look at, so for example, if the child or the kids are relatively young, either newborn or maybe a few years young, that's really early in their journey of life. And we will meet with the parents and say, hey, why don't we just take a look at if we were to fast forward, 18 years from now in your own system of policies as adults, look at how much progress you will have made in your journey. Just imagine for a moment if we were to take the children from where they are now to your age today.
Mhm,
Just envision for a second how much progress they will have made in their journey because you're doing something for them that they can't do for themselves today.
mhm.
Walk me through the disadvantages of getting the children going now.
They said,
So, right?
that
So
one.
you caught the same logic in that very question, right? Because your brain went to, is he really asking me to point out disadvantages of something so good?
Mhm,
So I'm trying to close that trap door of procrastination because the parents immediately go, oh my goodness, I really can't think of any disadvantage to getting going now.
mhm,
It's a simple question. Is this something you want to do? Yes, good. Here's our next step. Let's get the kids on that journey now. You're giving them a gift that doesn't require batteries. It's never going to end up in a toy graveyard somewhere. It's never going to be too small. It's going to be with them for the rest of their lives. So if we were to sit down with the kids when they're your age and we told them about the meeting that we had today, what do you want the conversation to be? Oh, I hoped and wished and prayed that mom and dad would have actually done that for me starting now.
mhm.
Or I'm beyond and immensely grateful that mom and dad started because of that meeting.
Yeah,
How do you want the conversation to go?
yeah, yeah.
Parents always say, I want them to know and I want them to be expressing how grateful they are for the fact that we did something for them that they couldn't do for themselves at that time.
Absolutely.
Isn't that
Absolutely.
good?
It all boils down to just the mindset too, to just where, yes, you know, you want to get your kiddo set up, you want to support them and give them all the tools and the knowledge to be a very a great human being capable to do whatever they set their minds to, but just giving them the tools to do it. I can't tell you my favorite question that folks will ask me, hey, Hannah, I'm putting money into a 529 plan. Should I keep doing this? And that's one of like my most favorite questions, just because I can talk from a personal experience of a child who had a 529 who dropped out of college and never used it. And grandpa's still calling me up to this day, hey, Hannah, how do I get this money out of the 529 without paying the taxes? Well, grandpa, you didn't know I didn't want to go to college. You didn't know what road I was going to go down, because that's it. Like there's so many ever increasing windfalls, downfalls in life, and just different pivots and turns that we're going to take, that we don't know what the kid's going to want to do when they're a newborn.
That's right. But we do know for certain that they're going to need to use some money for the rest of their lifetime.
Yes.
And we want money flowing into the family's hands, not through the family's hands.
Yeah.
That's what we're changing, one family at a time.
That's it. That's it. Well, J-Lo, I really appreciate you and your time. I know you're a busy man, so thank you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Hey, how can the listeners follow some of your coaching courses? Or I know you have your podcast show and YouTube channel too. Plug your socials real quick. How can people
Oh,
find?
sure. Yeah. So I'm accessible on Facebook, Jaysonlowe. So please track me down on the Facebooks. On the YouTubes, our channels are Bankers Vault and Wealth Without Bay Street. So that's where you can locate us on the YouTubes. And then, gosh, what other platforms am I missing? The LinkedIners, the Instagrammies, the Tweeters, Snapchatters, all that stuff. You can just search me up. You'll find me on all those platforms. And I'd love to hear from you. It's always nice to hear the insights that come up for people as they're investigating this process.
Good. Hey, actually, Jason, you on Snapchat?
I think so. Yeah. Well, my team sets all that stuff up for me. Full disclosure, I couldn't tell you what my Twitter account is, what my Instagramming account is. I know Facebook's because I'm all over the
You
Facebooks,
love Facebook.
but and then the YouTubes. We have a great team that looks after all of our YouTube content, and so yeah. But I couldn't tell you what those usernames are if you
No,
asked
that's
me.
perfect. The reason I ask is because actually Mary Jo and I, we banter a lot on Snapchat. So I was
Oh,
gonna,
do you? Oh,
yeah.
yeah, Mary Jo. Yeah, she's terrific. I love her.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, man. So y'all, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I'll be back next week with another episode. So every Tuesday I post out new content, new episodes. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are on all podcast platforms. Give us the 5 stars, comment, rate down below too. And until next time, I'll see everybody then. Bye, y'all.